Just a few months ago I reviewed the Tecno Pova 2 and we concluded that it was the undisputed battery champ. It outlasted everything Techzim had ever reviewed. Today I have the sequel. Oh, and there is a snazzy Tecno gift bag that one of you lucky viewers will stand a chance to win as an early Valentine's gift. Details are in the description. This is the Tecno Pova 5G. Let's talk about it. There isn't a lot that's different on the Pova 5G as compared to the Pova 2. In terms of design, it's still a glossy plastic back with a different style carbon fiber pattern and a Manchester City logo printed proudly towards the bottom. If you didn't know, Tecno has been a sponsor of that football club for a couple of years now. There is a very subtle redesign on the camera cluster. As you can tell from the label, the camera has been upgraded from a 48 megapixel unit on the Pova 2 to a 50 megapixel unit here on the Pova 5G. The display is still a 6.9 inch plot. However, the refresh rate has been bumped up to 120 Hz. Oh, and as a bonus this time around, it also supports HDR10 for some more vibrant color. So at first glance, it's still pretty much the same phone until you get under the hood. Yeah, they made a couple of design changes in there. It's got Android 11 running on the latest iOS 8.0 that we saw on the Camon 18 Premier. You can click on the button to the top right hand corner of the screen, somewhere there, to check that out. I went at length exploring all the new bits that's in that software. There is also a Panther game engine which curates your local gaming library and knock off some background apps to ensure that you get maximum performance when gaming. Speaking of performance, we have 8 gigs of RAM, some really fast LPDDR5 RAM, and 128 gigs of also really fast UFS 3.1 storage. Thanks to this rapid storage, the Tecno was able to implement memory fusion, which essentially uses some of the internal storage for RAM when very demanding tasks are being run. This Pova 5G can conjure 3 gigs extra RAM from the internal storage if the need arises, giving it a total of 11 gigs of RAM. It's really cool and a first for Tecno, but the tech itself has been around for close to a year now, with ZTE and Xiaomi being some of the first to give it a go. That said, I'm loving how progressive Tecno is being with their products. The battery situation worried me a bit because it's down in capacity from the 7000 mAh that we had in the Pova 2 to 6000 mAh that's in the 5G. But after running the endurance test, my mind was blown away. Not only did it perform very well, but it dethroned the Pova 2 to become the battery champ of all the smartphones Techzim has tested. I mean, it beat the Pova 2 by literally 1%, but as a famous racer once said, it doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. The Pova 5G only suffered a 29% power drain after a 3-hour torture test comprising of the usual an hour each of gaming, video streaming, and video recording. All at 100% screen brightness and refresh rate set to auto, meaning that depending on what's happening on the display, it was switching between 60 Hz and 120 Hz for the best balance between battery life and user experience. Oh, and the display is an LCD panel, which did not feel very bright. Sunlight legibility was on the poor side of things in my own experience. Back to performance. The reason behind this very impressive battery life lies within the processor, the MediaTek Dimensity 900. For the uninitiated, the Dimensity 900 is built on a 6nm process, which makes it very power efficient but also providing bags of performance. From the Geekbench scores, you can see that the Dimensity 900 outclasses the Kirin 980 on single core performance, which it owes to that 6nm process. Oh, and by the way, MediaTek's Dimensity line of CPUs come with 5G built in it, which addresses the 5G in the name of the Pova, huh? So, unfortunately, at the time of filming this video, Zimbabwe does not have 5G yet. and so I could not test how that would feel on the Pova 5G. The Pova is a performance smartphone, primarily being marketed as a gaming smartphone. Because of the performance demands of gaming smartphones, the Pova ends up getting most of the good stuff. The biggest battery, because gaming drinks a lot of power. The biggest display for a more immersive gaming experience. The best touch response and the smoothest display. In fact, if you look closely, the Pova 5G is getting the most powerful CPU of all the Tecno smartphones that are out right now. The Phantom X from last year uses a MediaTek Helio G95, and that's Tecno's flagship. The Camon 18 Premier uses a Helio G96, and now the Pova 5G goes a whole level up with the Dimensity 900. If you're not worried about the metal and glass finishes, the weight, the size and cameras, this phone is actually a very good buy. Oh, and speaking of cameras, the 50 megapixel camera does a decent job, pretty similar to what the Pova 2 was delivering. It's got good dynamic range in these photos. They are not too saturated like on the Camon 18 Premier, which I personally prefer. The autofocus is quick and locks on well. I was taking some of these photos in windy conditions, but you can't tell. It's a very usable camera. I have a major bone to pick though with Tecno on this camera system. On the box and on the phone, it says it is a triple camera setup. The assumption is that you need multiple cameras for different focal lengths. So one camera will be a normal or main one, often given the most megapixels. Another will be the wide angle, and another will be a telephoto zoom, maybe 2x or 3x zoom. The 5G has none of those options anywhere in the camera options or the settings, and trust me, I looked. So apart from the 50 megapixel main sensor, I don't think there is anything being done by the other two sensors. It's not like Tecno does not know this. They did a perfect job with the Phantom X and the Camon 18 Premier. Both these Tecnos have 3 working, functional and useful cameras. It's when they go on to the Pova and the Spark and the Pop series that they start these marketing stunts. Rant aside, the Pova 5G is awesome. It's got a huge presence thanks to its sheer size, bags and bags of performance thanks to the Dimensity 900 CPU paired with the super fast RAM and internal storage. And even though the battery is smaller than its predecessors, it's going to outlast almost anything on the market right now. What's interesting is the pricing. It will be retailing between $300 and $320 in Zimbabwe, which is very, very close to the Camon 18 Premier. And the Camon 18 Premier looks a lot better. It feels a lot better in the hand too because of the metal and glass finish, and also the size. It's comfortable. And even though the battery is smaller, it charges at almost 2 times the speed of the Pova 5G. Not forgetting that it has 3 real and useful cameras and the same 120Hz refresh rate, but on an OLED display. All for $350. That's a $20 difference. It's a tough choice and a very weird place for the Pova 5G. Worse still, the 5G is not yet available in Zimbabwe, so that's not even a selling point in these parts. I don't know. Let me know in the comments which one you would go for and why. Pova 5G or Camon 18 Premier.